How is it going, YouTube? Mo Sports Network back again today, talking about my NFL preseason power rankings. We're recording this video at 3 a.m. I am incredibly tired. If I missed something, please yell at me in the comments, and it will be a reminder to not make videos at 3 a.m. anymore. But today, we're talking about the 11th team I have in my NFL power rankings, the Buffalo Bills, who I am excited to talk about today. I think this team has a lot of potential this season. I'm excited to talk about it. So we start with the coaching staff. As we always do, we have Sean McDermott, who did the impossible. He led the Bills to the playoffs twice. Crazy, I know, unheard of. Taking Buffalo to the playoffs multiple times in his tenure as head coach, once with Tyrod Taylor, and then last season with Josh Allen at the helm. That's all you really need to say about Sean McDermott. He's run a tight ship there in Buffalo. I have a lot of respect for him as a head coach and really like his game. So, really good stuff here from Sean. I think he is a pretty good head coach, and I think he will take the Bills as far as the offensive and defensive talent, of course, will take him. I think he can be a Super Bowl winning head coach. I just don't think he has the talent on his roster around him to do so yet. So really big Sean McDermott guy. I think he's one of the better coaches in the NFL. Of course, he has his staff with him. Brian Dabble at offensive coordinator, formerly an Alabama guy, winning a natty there. He's going to be the offensive play caller for this team. And then the defensive coordinator is Leslie Frazier, working together with McDermott because he was a defensive coach, if I'm not mistaken, before joining the Bills. Taking a look at his full bio. Wow, that's kind of crazy. They have a nice little cutout there for him. Just reading through this. Yeah, the Panthers defense was Sean McDermott's job before taking over at Buffalo. Closed out of that page. But that's the coaching staff, really high on Sean McDermott. Again, sleep deprived, completely forgot where he was coaching defense before. But now we go into the roster. We start at quarterback, as we always do. You have Josh Allen, who is slowly getting better, in my opinion. Taking a look at his numbers last season. 3,000 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Now, nothing too inspiring there for Josh. He had the 24th QBR in the league last year. But I think this is the best offensive weapons he has had to work with in his third season. I know Josh coming out was incredibly raw, and I think we are going to see a lot more for him in his third season. Brought his team to the playoffs in the second season. I think in his third season, with all the weapons he has, it's going to be exciting. Now, talking about the run game, again, I don't put too much stock in the run game. I think there's two solid backs here. No one really elite, but I think they get the job done. In Devin Singletary, a rookie last year, and then Zach Moss, a rookie this year coming in. I think they're both going to be a solid 1-2 punch, kind of like Singletary and Gore were last year. I don't think one's going to particularly get much more time than the other, probably leaning Singletary a bit. But just a solid overall running room. I kind of say that about most teams. I don't think there's any team in the league outside of like Washington and Jacksonville right now. They just go, oh my God, where are their running backs? And these guys both get the job done. Then you go to the receiving core, which I am pretty excited about for what it is. They bring in Stephon Diggs, the best receiver Josh Allen has played with in his career. Excited to see them connect. We know Josh Allen has that cannon arm, and the deep threat that Diggs is, I think, will work well together. You also bring back Mr. Reliable, John Brown. He was really good as this team's #1 receiver last year, and then a really good slot guy in Cole Beasley. So I really like their three receivers here. And then I'm also interested in the depth of this team. Taking a look here, Gabe Davis, the rookie. You also have Isaiah McKenzie, who had like 250 receiving yards last season. And then you also bring back Andre Roberts, who only had 20 receiving yards last season, but he's been around the league, had his cup of tea with several teams, a good veteran to help develop guys like Gabe Davis, and then Isaiah Hodgins, I believe out of Rhode Island, if I'm not mistaken, who's on IR, current or Oregon State. I was thinking of Isaiah Coulter. My bad. But he's also a rookie along with Gabe Davis, two solid rookie receivers to develop along these guys. So I like the receiving core a lot. They have a true number one guy in Diggs. I think John Brown, a really good number two and a really good slot, and Cole Beasley, which is what you're usually asking for, along with some promising depth. Roberts, the veteran guy, McKenzie, the guy who's been here, would probably have been in that spot that Diggs was before. And then Gabe Davis, a promising rookie. So a lot of things you like to see here with the Colts. And then you also have their tight ends. I don't look much past Dawson Knox and Tyler Croft. I don't think Lee Smith and Reggie Gilliam are going to get much involved other than the special teams game. But Dawson Knox really emerged as a surprise last season for me at tight end. I didn't see him becoming a starter at any point, even soon. I thought this was Tyler Croft's job to lose. He lost it. So now Dawson Knox and Tyler Croft, neither of them top 20 tight ends even at this point, but I think they'll get the job done. I think Knox showed a lot of potential last year as a rookie in a position in tight end that's really hard for rookies to play well, as we saw from guys like Hawkinson and Fant last season. And then you look at the offensive line, and it's going to be another average one. I've been saying is average lines across the board, and I think it's because of lack of offensive line development in college. But another line that remains to be average. Got Deion Dawkins, Quentin Spain, Mitch Morse, Cody Ford, and Ty Nsekhe. I don't think any of these guys on the line are really liabilities in any way, but I don't think any of them are also complete game changer like wreckers on the offensive line. I think the Bills line is going to be the epitome of average this season, if not a little worse. But I'd look at them. I don't really look at offensive line metrics too much, but if you were to rank them, I'd project them to be around the 16th spot exactly. From how incredibly league average I think most of these guys are going to pan out to be. So that's that on the offensive line. Really excited about this team's weapons. Offensive line will at least get the job done. The question is, how far will Josh Allen take them? I think that's an exciting question that we're going to get answered. And so we move on to the defense, where you're not really super reliant on a signal caller, a quarterback to get the job done. I'm excited about pieces here. Now, you look at the defensive line, and you don't see that elite number one edge rusher that you're used to seeing on a lot of, not a Bills team necessarily, but a lot of teams. This team doesn't have their Khalil Mack or their Myles Garrett or their Aaron Donald. They don't have a complete game record. They don't have a Von Miller on their team, but they have some really solid guys. Trent Murphy and Jerry Hughes, I think, are both solid edge rushers who can definitely get the job done. And they also have some decent rotational guys. Mario Addison, former first overall pick, is on this team. He's getting older, of course, but he can still perform. AJ Epinesa, second round pick. I had a first round grade on him. I don't think he opted out. I assume they would say if he did. Yeah, I think AJ Epinesa is going to work his way on this team at some point and play well. And then also you look at Daryl Johnson here. Had one sack last season. He's a young piece, still able to be molded. Although I think Epinesa is probably a better player than him when it's all said and done. And then you also look at their interior line, and I think it's pretty impressive too. Vernon Butler and Ed Oliver, I think, are a very solid interior too. I think the potential for Ed Oliver is sky high. I think he could be a Pro Bowler this year if he really steps up. And then you have Vernon Butler across from him, along with Harrison Phillips, who has played really well so far as a potential guy to play as well there on the defensive line. So really like what they have at the defensive line here in Buffalo. The only issue is there's no star power, but I think just solid bodies all around will definitely get the job done, and it's definitely not a weakness here in Buffalo. I'll say that much. If you would have to pick a problem with this defense, it would be the linebacking group, particularly Matt Milano and AJ Klein. I'm pretty low on, not too excited about either of those guys. I think Tremaine Edmonds makes up for it. I think we saw down the stretch last season, he is becoming a very, very quality Mike linebacker, signal caller, I really like what Tremaine Edmonds' talent is. Um, I was saying back when the Bills drafted him that if they could unlock his talent, he would be absolutely ridiculous. I think they're finally starting to do that. From a pick that looked a bit questionable, or a pick that looked like a slam dunk turned into a bit questionable, I think they're finally starting to really unlock Edmonds' talent. But again, Milano and Klein around him, I'm not too excited about. Um, and then you get some depth guys as well who will probably play at some points, but a lot of the times they'll be playing on special teams. And then we're going to go back to really positive. We're going to talk about this secondary again. So Tre'Davious White is a top 10 corner in this league. He's really good. I think you could argue he's top 5. I don't have like my cornerback rankings handy or anything, but I think Tre'Davious White is that good. In the secondary, I think he is a lockdown, shutdown corner, and the Bills are wise to pay him soon. I think his extension is coming up if he wasn't already extended. And then you have Josh Norman across from him. I think Josh Norman is a shell of his former self. I'm not sure why they have him starting. I would probably have Levi Wallace starting over him. But if they insist on starting Josh Norman for a while, I suppose they can. I just wouldn't particularly go with that over Levi Wallace in particular. Um, and they're not necessarily deep at corner either. Like Taron Johnson and Siren Neal are the only other healthy guys other than the guys I mentioned. So Tre'Davious White's really going to have to play on an island, and hopefully between Norman and Wallace, they can fight over the slot and other spots of the secondary. I'm going to flip over to PFF here for a second, take a look at their nickel defense. What we'd be looking at, it would be Johnson in the nickel for them instead of Levi Wallace, according to PFF. So I assume Johnson's going to be their starting nickel corner. I don't know too much about Taron Johnson. PFF says that he has a 60 grade, so probably, again, I don't have PFF Elite right now or PFF Edge, so I can't really look into that, but I assume that means, and it's a big assumption, that he's like an average player um, at best. But then we look on the flip side, we're going to look at their safeties. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are two excellent safeties. I think them, along with Tre'Davious White, is going to make this an upper half of the league secondary. The only spot that I am concerned about is that second corner and potentially the nickel spot, depending how Taron Johnson plays. But I think they have 3 spots that are absolutely locked down there. So overall, just looking at this Bills defense, you're not seeing any like big superstars other than Trey White, who I think is that, but you're not seeing really any holes either. I think the only question marks again are the opposite, or the 2 linebackers besides Edmonds. How well will they play? Obviously, AJ Klein and Matt Milano have had positives in their career, and I think Buffalo is a good place for them to continue. They just have a solid career, but they have had their ups and downs. And then same deal with Josh Norman, Levi Wallace, Taron Johnson, etc. In the secondary, they're kind of thin there. But overall, really like this defense, and they have pretty good potential along with the offense. Really, the Bills, they're going to be always an unsuspecting team. I think this year they're finally flying on the radar, but they are going to be legit, I have a feeling, this season. And that's when we break into the schedule here. And I think the Bills are going to have everyone on watch to start the year, and then they're going to cool off a bit, but they're still going to be good. I think they start this season 5-0. I think they beat the Jets. I think they beat the Dolphins, the Rams, the Raiders, the Titans. I think they're more talented than all of these teams. I think they get the job done. I think they start 5-0. I think the only one of these games I'd be questionable of, at least at the start, because Miami and New York, I think, have a lot more questions than answers at the beginning of the season, is the Titans. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost that, but I think 5-0. I said the Titans would lose this game in that video. Then I think they lose to Kansas City. Kansas City's ridiculous. So 5-1, and then I've been having a lot of splits in series, but I think they sweep the Jets. I think the Jets aren't very good, and I think the Bills match up well against them. So 6-1. think they're going to split with the Patriots, so they're going to win this one 7-1. I think they probably drop one to Seattle, fall to 7-2, and I think they can beat the Cardinals to improve to 8-2, and then they have their bye week. Off the bye, I think they beat the Chargers 9-2, and then they struggle a bit. I think San Fran and Pittsburgh are just bad matchups for them. I think they lose both of those. They go to 9-4. But then I think they beat Denver, go to 10-4. I think they drop one to New England to be 10-5. And then the last one against Miami. I think Miami is going to be a pretty improved team at this point. I think it's going to be a toss-up. But I'm going to lean Miami just because I was pretty lenient earlier in the season. So I think this team's looking at 10-6, but could definitely be better than a 10-win team, obviously. Simply sweeping Miami could make them 11 wins. Other than that, I think they could. I don't assume they're going to sweep New England. I don't think they should sweep New England by any means. They could win this Pittsburgh game. That would make them even better. But I think 10-6 makes sense for this team. I think they could also fall to 9-7 if they split with the Jets. And then they could also lose to the Titans. Losing to the Titans and Jets makes this team 8-8, which is possible. I think the possible range for this team is anywhere from like 7 wins all the way up to, I don't want to quite go to 12. I think 11's realistic. But I'm going to predict this team at 10 wins. So that is all from me today. Ready for in a couple days on Sunday for this video to be completely proven wrong. But that is all I have to say and rambling about. I'm sleep deprived. So uploading this video and the Vikings video before this, then going to bed. So probably will be asleep when you guys watch these videos for the first time. But thank you guys so much for watching. I have been Mo Sports Network, and I will see you guys next time, tomorrow, or I guess later today, for the top 10. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.